A man named David did everything right. He obeyed every law on the books. He followed every rule his state had ever printed. He paid every fee the clerks asked for. He carried his concealed permit in a leather wallet. He renewed it every single year. He trained at the indoor range twice a month. He stayed out of bar fights. He stayed out of trouble. He was the model citizen. He was the poster boy for safe carry. He was the example his instructor used in every class. Then, overnight, the rules changed under his feet. A court ruling came down out of Washington. It hit the cable news cycle for 3 minutes. Then it vanished from the screen. David missed it. His wife missed it. His range instructor missed it. Nobody in his circle warned him. Nobody sent him a text. Nobody flagged the post. So yesterday morning, David drove to his job like he always does. A simple commute on a local highway. A simple traffic stop for a broken taillight. A polite officer stepped up to his window. David reached into his back pocket. He pulled out his wallet. He pulled out his concealed carry permit. He handed it over with both hands. He smiled. He said, "Here you go, officer. Everything is current." The officer looked at the card. The officer looked back at David. The officer said, "Sir, this permit is no longer recognized." David blinked. He said, "Excuse me?" The officer repeated it slowly. "Your state's permit system just ended. The Supreme Court killed the requirement. The state says you do not need a permit anymore. But the rules around the permit also changed. Answering the questions I just asked was a mistake. Handing me that card was a mistake. That counts as consent under the new framework. I have a legal reason to search now." David stood frozen on the side of the road. His hands stopped moving. His heart rate spiked. His mouth opened, but no words came out. His rights were gone in under 3 minutes. Everything he had built in 15 years of clean carry collapsed because of one polite answer. One trained answer. One instinct he had practiced since the day he got his license. He did nothing wrong yesterday. He did everything right. He still lost. This is not a fictional story. This is happening on roads tonight. This is happening this week in stop after stop. A 9-0 Supreme Court decision just rewrote the Second Amendment for the modern era. It is one of the biggest firearms rulings in 20 years. Most primetime networks buried the actual text. Most gun channels skipped the fine print. You are hearing the truth right now, the way it is actually written. If you own a firearm, if you carry concealed, if you drive across state lines for work, if you have ever pulled a permit out of your wallet to show a police officer, if you have ever flashed your training certificate at a stop, if you have ever said yes to a search because you thought it was the polite thing, stop what you are doing right now. Stop scrolling. Stop driving. Stop the music. Pay close attention to the next 12 minutes. This briefing will change the rest of your life. It will change how you speak at a traffic stop. It will change what you keep in your glove box. It will change what you say to your children before they turn 16. It will change how you vote in the next election. It will change how you spend every single day behind the wheel. This is not a political video. This is a survival video. This is a legal survival video. Please share it with one person you love before we are done. That share could be the only warning they ever get. Before we go any deeper, listen to me for 30 seconds. This channel is not like the other channels in your feed. We do not sell fear here. We do not sell hype here. We do not sell clickbait thumbnails with red arrows and shocked faces. We sell you something much more valuable. We sell you time. We sell you 3 seconds of warning. We sell you 3 minutes of legal clarity. We sell you 3 hours of safety in any courtroom in the country. We track these rulings the second they drop out of the building in DC. We read what your local lawyer has not read yet. We translate the legal jargon into plain English, the kind of English you actually speak, the kind of English your grandmother would understand. Most news channels wait for the news cycle. They wait for the press release. They wait for the primetime anchor to read the headline. Then they repeat the headline. We do not do that. We wait for the courtroom cycle. We wait for the footnotes. We wait for the dissenting opinions even when the ruling is unanimous. We wait for the implementation orders from the states. That is the difference. That is why this channel exists. Behind every tragic news story you have ever seen, there is a court document you never read. There is a footnote you never heard. There is a deadline you never saw. There is a date that mattered more than every other date, and that date is usually 3 weeks before the public ever finds out. We close that gap for you. We hand you the document the morning it lands. We hand you the plain translation before dinner. If you want this kind of information in your corner for the rest of your life, hit subscribe right now. 2 seconds of your time. That is all it costs. 2 seconds today could save you 3 years of your future. 3 years in a courtroom. 3 years of lost wages. 3 years of lost freedom, 3 years of legal fees you cannot afford. That is the cold math of this channel. That is the cold trade I am offering you. 2 seconds today for 3 years of safety tomorrow. Take the trade. Press the button right now. The button is right under this video. 2 seconds, 1 tap. You can come back later if you want. The video will still be here. The information will not. The information expires when the next ruling lands. Information has a shelf life. Information has a clock. The clock is already running. Now let me walk you slowly through what just happened in Washington and why it changes everything you thought you knew about concealed carry, traffic stops, and the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution. 2 giant rights sit at the center of this new fight. The first right is your Second Amendment right, the right to keep a firearm on your body, the right to bear arms, the right to defend yourself in public, the right to protect your family at the gas station, the right to defend your home at 2 a.m. when glass breaks downstairs. This right is the oldest right we have. It is older than the permit system. It is older than the licensing clerks. It is older than the fingerprint cards. It is older than the background check forms. The founders wrote it down in plain English. They meant it in plain English. They did not mean it as a favor. They meant it as a guarantee. The second right is your Fourth Amendment right, the right to privacy in your own vehicle, the right to be secure in your own car, the right to refuse a search of your trunk, the right to refuse a search of your glove box, the right to refuse a search of your phone, the right to say no to a stranger with a badge, the right to keep what is yours exactly where you keep it. This right is also old. It is also strong. It is also yours. It does not disappear because you own a gun. It does not disappear because you have a permit. It does not disappear because an officer is polite to your face. For 50 long years, these 2 rights had an unspoken deal between them. They lived in the same house. They shared the same hallway. If you wanted to carry a firearm in public, the state required you to register for a permit. The state required you to fill out a paper application. The state required you to pay a fee. The state required you to wait for 3 months. The state required you to pass a fingerprint check. The state required you to pass a background check. The state required you to take a class. The state required you to shoot a score. Then the state gave you a small plastic card. That card was your license to carry. That card was your proof. That card was your ticket onto the public streets. And once the state owned that card, the state owned the data behind it. The state knew your home address. The state knew your place of work. The state knew your phone number. The state knew the serial number of every firearm you registered. The state knew your criminal history. The state knew your medical history if you marked the box. The state had a full digital record of you, the gun owner sitting on a server somewhere. And that database was the soft underbelly of the system. Because if a database exists, it can be searched. If a database exists, it can be subpoenaed. If a database exists, anyone with the right court order can pull it up at any stop, in any city, at any hour. That was the price of the old system. That was the trade you agreed to when you walked in to apply. Carry means trust. Trust means paperwork. Paperwork means visibility. Visibility means vulnerability. That was the bargain. That was the deal. That was the world David lived in yesterday morning. Until 3 days ago. Until the court flipped flip the switch until the highest court in the land ruled 9-0 that the permit system itself is unconstitutional. The court said it burdens too many citizens. The court said it chills too much behavior. The court said it is not the same in every state. The court said it cannot stand. That part is the headline you heard on the news. That part is what replayed on cable. That part is what your senator tweeted. Most people stopped listening right there. Most people felt a rush of victory. Most gun owners smiled. Most concealed carriers felt a wave of relief. They thought the fight was over. They thought the win was final. They tossed the old permit into the desk drawer. They thought they were finally free. But the ruling did something else. Something much bigger, something much quieter. The court also flipped the relationship between the two rights. The court also killed the database. The court also killed the trade. The court also killed the bargain. The court said you no longer have to apply. The court said you no longer have to pay. The court said you no longer have to wait. The court said you no longer have to pass their test. The court said you no longer have to surrender your privacy to carry a firearm. You just carry. You just exist as a free citizen. That sounds like a victory. That sounds like a parade. That sounds like the headline of the century. But wait right there. Stay on this road with me for a moment longer. Because the celebration hides a collision. The celebration hides a head-on crash about to happen on every highway in America. The right to carry without a permit is now yours. The right to privacy in your car is still yours. But the two rights are now colliding in a way that will hurt law-abiding citizens more than it will hurt anyone else. Without a permit, you have no proof. Without a permit, you have no paper. Without a permit, you have no plastic card. Without a permit, you have no official record on file. Without a permit, the officer at your window does not have a database to ping. Without a permit, the officer does not have a fingerprint system to tap. Without a permit, the officer does not have a quick check. Without a permit, the officer does not have a clean yes or no on the dispatch screen. Without a permit, the officer has only one tool still standing: his eyes, his ears, his questions, and your mouth. Your mouth is the new database. Your mouth is the new record. Your yes or no is the new evidence. That is where the danger lives. That is where the trapdoor opens. That is the legal collision nobody is talking about on cable tonight. So let me say it again, slower this time, so the words land. Without a permit, you have no proof on your record. The officer has no record to check. So the officer asks you. So the officer searches you. So the officer presses you for answers. And most gun owners, the good ones, the law-abiding ones, the ones who never break a rule, will do exactly what David did. They will say yes. They will hand over the wallet. They will agree to the search. They will cooperate because they were trained to cooperate. They will smile because they were taught to smile. They will think their politeness equals their protection. It does not. Not anymore. Not in the post-9/0 world. This is the new legal collision. Your right to carry and your right to privacy are now standing in the same 10 square feet of automobile. They are both your rights. They are both strong. They are both yours forever. But they fight each other inside that space. Carry wins on the street. Privacy wins in the car. But privacy only wins for you if you know the words. Privacy only wins for you if you know the new rules. Privacy only wins for you if you know when to speak. Privacy only wins for you if you know when to stay silent. But here is where most people get it wrong. Read that line in your head again. Read it twice. Read it 3 times if you have to. This is the pivot. This is the turn. This is the trap door. This is where almost every other channel will lose you to a swipe. Do not swipe. Stay with me. Stay locked in. Stay listening. Most people hear this ruling and immediately feel safer. They feel taller. They feel stronger. They feel free. They throw the permit folder into the trash. They cancel the range membership. They post a victory meme. They think the war is over. They think they won. They think the Second Amendment has finally arrived. They are wrong. They are deeply, dangerously, legally wrong. The fight is just getting started. The new ruling is not a sword. The new ruling is a shield. A shield only works if you hold it up. A shield only works if you keep it in front of you. A shield only works if you do not drop it at the worst possible second. The moment you drop the shield is the moment they get through your line. The moment you drop the shield is the moment your case falls apart in court. The moment you drop the shield is the moment a polite traffic stop becomes a 5-year sentence. So let me show you in 3 real stories exactly how the trapdoor works. Story 1 took place in Texas last Saturday night. A 28-year-old driver named Marcus was stopped for speeding on a state highway. He had a pistol in his trunk. He had no permit because his state already recognized permitless carry. He was clean. He was legal. He was carrying fully inside his rights. The officer approached the window. The officer asked, "Any weapons in the vehicle tonight?" Marcus, like a good citizen, like a trained citizen, like a polite citizen, said, "Yes, sir. There's a pistol in the trunk. I'm licensed." Marcus used the word licensed out of habit. The officer wrote the word down. The officer typed the word into his report. The officer now had a legal reason to search the trunk. Not because the gun was illegal, not because Marcus had done anything wrong, but because saying yes gave the officer a legal reason to search. Lawyers call it probable cause. Probable cause just means a legal reason, a reason strong enough to look, a reason strong enough to open, a reason strong enough to dig, a reason strong enough to break the seal. Marcus's yes gave them that reason. Marcus's yes opened his trunk. Marcus's yes cost him his firearm at the scene. Marcus's yes cost him a year of court dates. Marcus's yes cost him a lawyer he could not afford. All because he did exactly what his instructor taught him. All because he was too polite to say no. Story 2 happened in Pennsylvania the very next morning. A 41-year-old driver named Jacob was stopped at a checkpoint inside city limits. He had a firearm under his driver's seat. He also had no permit. He lived in a state that now recognized permitless carry. The officer approached the window. The officer asked, "Anything I should know about in this vehicle today?" Jacob, who watched this channel last month, said one word, "No." Then he stayed quiet. He did not elaborate. He did not explain. He did not volunteer information. He stayed absolutely silent after that one word. The officer stared at him for 10 seconds. The officer stepped back. The officer had no legal reason to search. The officer had no probable cause. The officer had nothing on his report. The officer let him drive away. His firearm stayed under his seat. His record stayed spotless. His freedom stayed intact. Same law, same state rule, same 9-0 ruling in effect, same officer doing his job, different answer, different outcome, different life. Jacob went home and kissed his kids. Story 3 happened in Florida on Sunday afternoon. A 63-year-old driver named Raymond was stopped for an expired tag. He had a firearm in his glove box. He also had a paper permit in his wallet. He carried the permit every day for 18 years. It was part of his identity. The officer asked, "Do you have any weapons on board?" Raymond proudly pulled out the permit and the firearm registration card. He handed them to the officer through the window. He believed his cooperation would end the stop quickly. He was wrong. The officer took the permit. The officer scanned the permit. The permit activated an old database rule, a sunset rule that was not yet retired, a rule scheduled to expire next month, but the rule was still in force at the moment of the stop. The permit became a search warrant. The permit became probable cause. The permit became the very evidence the prosecutor used to charge him. His cooperation became his downfall. His pride became his prison. His training became his trap. 3 men, 3 stops, 3 very different outcomes. One said yes and lost his gun. One said nothing and kept his gun. One had a permit and lost his gun. You see the rule now. You see the trapdoor. You see the pattern. The trapdoor is your mouth. The trapdoor is your wallet. The trapdoor is your politeness. The trapdoor is the good citizen training that was right for the old world. The old world is gone. The old training is dangerous. The old procedure is now a felony waiting to happen. Everything you were taught about traffic stops before this ruling is wrong. Everything you saw on YouTube last year is wrong. Everything you read in your state's old handbook is wrong. Throw out the old playbook, burn it, shred it, forget it. The new world is here, the new rules are here, the new words are here, and the new words are very, very simple. Do not say yes to a search. Do not say yes to a question about firearms. Do not say yes to anything I should know about. Do not say yes to do you have any weapons on board? Do not say yes to that voice in your rearview mirror. That voice is not your friend. That voice is not trying to help you. That voice is taking your rights one syllable at a time. That voice is taking your firearm one syllable at a time. That voice is taking your future one syllable at a time. You trained yourself to say yes. You trained yourself to cooperate. You trained yourself to expose. Stop training. Stop right now. The new world does not want your words. The new world does not want your proof. The new world does not want your politeness. The new world wants your silence. Your silence is the strongest word you have. Your silence is your new shield. Your silence is your strongest legal move. Use it. Use it for the rest of your life behind the wheel. Here is your protocol, 8 steps. Memorize them tonight, print them, save them, pin them on your refrigerator, read them to your children before they turn 16, share them with your brother, share them with your uncle, share them with the old hunting buddy who never got the text. Step 1 is hands on the wheel, both hands, both visible, at all times. Do not reach for the glove box. Do not reach for your wallet. Do not reach for your registration. Hands stay locked at 10 and 2 until the officer tells you otherwise. Step 2 is window down 2 inches. Just enough to talk. Not enough to search. Not enough to reach inside. Not enough to lean across. 2 inches. That is the new standard. Step 3, say these magic words first. Say them before anything else. Am I being detained, officer, or am I free to go? That is the legal gate. That is the question you must ask. If the answer is yes, you are being detained. You stay. If the answer is no, you drive away. If the answer is unclear, you ask again, calmly, in the same words. Step 4. If they ask, do you have any weapons in this car? You say this exact line, word for word, no deviation. I am invoking my right to remain silent. I want my lawyer present before any further questions. Then you stop talking, completely. Step 5, if they ask to search your car, you say, I do not consent to any search of my vehicle or my property. That sentence alone can save you. That sentence alone can beat the case in court. That sentence alone can walk you free at the station house. Step 6, do not hand over any old permit. Do not show any old card. Do not flash any old training certificate. Old paperwork becomes new evidence. Old cooperation becomes new probable cause. Old paper becomes new prison time. Step 7, if they arrest you anyway, despite every word, you say one more thing. I want my lawyer present for any further questioning. I am invoking my right to counsel. Then you stop talking. You stop completely. You stare straight ahead. You breathe slowly. You wait. You wait for your lawyer. You do not negotiate. You do not explain. You do not bargain. Step 8, you call us. You call your family lawyer. You call the Second Amendment hotline. You do not sign anything at the scene. You do not sign anything at the station. You sign nothing ever without your lawyer reading it first. You let the lawyer fight the legal fight. You fight your fight by staying absolutely silent. Print this protocol before sunset tonight. Screenshot it before it scrolls away. Send it to your group chat before the next traffic stop happens. Because the next traffic stop is coming for someone you love. It happens tonight. It happens tomorrow. It happens every minute of every day. And the day is already too late for David. Do not be David. Do not be Marcus. Do not be Raymond. Be Jacob. Be the man who remembered. Be the father who prepared. Be the citizen who knew the new law the morning the ruling dropped. 9-0, 9 justices, 0 doubt, 0 wiggle room, 0 second chances if you say the wrong word at the wrong stop. The ruling is final. The clock is running. Your move starts the second you finish this sentence.